Hello and welcome everybody to another top 5 anime. This time it is going to be top 5 Shoujo anime. Not going to lie though, I don't really watch a whole lot of Shoujo anime, so the series that's in here I really truly enjoyed watching and I hold deeply in my heart. So yes, with that being said though, this top 5 list is 100% opinionated, so if you don't agree, leave your own top 5 shoujo list in the comment section below and let's get this discussion going. Furthermore, if you are interested in my content where I do lots of Pokemon and Nintendo gaming content and anime related content, please do check out my YouTube channel, leave a like and subscribe. I put out 2 videos weekly. So without further ado, let's start on with number 5. Number 5, Snow White with red hair, or Akagame no Shirayuki Hime. Actually, it's been a long time since I've watched this, so bear with me as I read through the plot description. Although her name is Snow White, Shirayuki is a cheerful red hair girl living in the country of Tanbarun, who works diligently as an apothecary at her herbal shop. Her life changes drastically when she noticed by the silly prince of Tanbarun, Prince Raji, who then tries to force her to become his concubine. Unwilling to give up her freedom, Shirayuki cuts her hair and escapes into the forest, where she is rescued from Raji by Zenwistalia, the second prince of a neighboring country, and his 2 aides. Hoping to repay her debts to the trio, someday Shirayuki sets her sights on pursuing a career as the court herbalist in Zen's country. This series, my dude, this was probably one of those series where I just got bored one day and just read a whole bunch of synopsis of my anime list, check out a lot of content, and damn, this is just, there's fantasy elements, there's romance elements, the character is overall likable, very strong-willed, and I think for me, in my opinion, Shirayuki is definitely one of those characters where you're gonna put up to be one of your top waifu for shoujo anime. And overall, the art, the design, the setting, oh, you know me, I love a good isekai, and this is isekai without the magic powers, without all those mambo jumbo reincarnation things, just a wholesome fantasy romance. For me, that's one thing that I love. The world building itself, the storytelling. I think for Snow White with red hair, I definitely will rewatch on, and definitely worth watching for you guys. Number 4, Ori Monogatari, or My Love Story. This is something that I recently watched on last year, actually. With his muscular build and the tall structure of Takeo Goda is no ordinary high school freshman. However, behind Takeo's intimidating appearance lies a pure heart of gold, and he is considered a hero by his male peers for his courage and chivalry. Unfortunately for Takeo, his appearance does not bode well for his love life, as if his look were not already enough to scare the opposite sex away. Takeo's cool, handsome best friend and constant companion Makoto Sunakawa easily and unintentionally steals the hearts of the female students, including every girl Takeo has ever liked. One day, when Takeo saves the cute Renko Yamato from being molested, he falls in love with her instantly. Unfortunately, he suspects that she might be interested in Sunakawa. Despite his romantic feelings for Yamato continuing to bloom, Takeo decides to act as her cupid, even as he yearns for own love story. I mean, this is just a wholesome story. usually you would expect the two beautiful couple from behind, but the fact that we follow Taki is probably one of my Giga Chad protagonists of all of shoujo romance anime. Like, just how unique their coupling is. Like, this was revealed to me not even as a plot synopsis or as a trailer, just by the art itself. It interested me by seeing a couple of the art and picture of Google, and the fact that it just stands out amongst the rest. The art itself is what makes it really good, really attracts me, and the story and the characters themselves is what made me stay and watch the entire series. So without further ado, number 4 is Ori Monogatari. Number 3, Fruit Basket. After the accident in which she lost her mother, 16-year-old Toru moves in with her grandfather, but due to his home being renovated, is unable to continue living with them, claiming she will find someone to stay with, but also fearing the criticism of her family and not wanting to burden any of her friends. Toru resorts to secretly living on her own in a tent in the woods. One night, on her way back from work, she finds her tent buried underneath a landslide. Yuki Soma, the prince of her school, and his cousin Shigeru Soma, a famous author, stumbled across Toru's situation and invite her to stay with them until her grandfather's home renovations are complete. Just what I like about this series, Fruit Basket, now, is, for me, Fruit Basket is a rom-com harem in my books, and one of the cliche of harem is like the protagonist is more of a self-insert protagonist, but for me, Toru is not just a self-insert. One of the strong-willed, one of very clumsy and very joyous kind of character that really attracted me to this series. Very must-protect character. I freaking love Toru. Toru is just so wholesome, so strong-willed, so cute in her appearance, in her day-to-day kind of personality. I love Toru, my dudes. I think Toru is what made me watch Toru alone, in my opinion, is what made me watch Fruit Basket. And honestly, out of all the harem shoujo harem out there, I feel like Toru is definitely top tier in my book in terms of character, and the fact that she herself grows to overcome her struggles throughout the story, and you watch her struggle and overcome every struggle along the way. For me, made her one of the top five in my list here. So without further ado, number 3, Fruit Baskets, or maybe more specifically Toru, because I have the thing that is enough to put him number 3 in this list is definitely just Toru, and of course her relationship with the other characters is very wholesome as well. So without further ado, number 3, Fruit Basket, and let's proceed into number 2, Sailor Moon. I mean, we all know what Sailor Moon is. I didn't even put the plot synopsis, and that's how we all know what Sailor Moon is. Sailor Moon, in general, is a story about a young character, a young female protagonist named Usagi Tsukino, as she discovered that she has latent magical girl or magical goddess. She becomes a goddess later on. Magical girl power when she met a cat named Luna, a talking cat named Luna, as any magical girl anime would eventually encounter. Magical talking animal that. So without further ado, Sailor Moon, and then she met different kinds of characters that is also magical girls to fight against the Dark Kingdom, Queen Beryl, yes. That's just the first season though, because there's definitely a lot more enemies in the Sailor Moon verse that makes her even more powerful than the last season. And seeing the character growth of Usagi Tsukino, and even meeting the love of her life, meeting her eventual future daughter Chibiusa, and seeing all of this struggle, seeing all of her friends fighting alongside her, definitely reminds me of a certain of shonen, kind of a shonen-esque kind of setting. And of course, Sailor Moon is definitely, for me, I equate to like the Dragon Ball equivalent, or Dragon Ball Shoujo equivalent of the Shoujo verse, or Dragon Ball kind of Shoujo equivalent kind of anime, you know. So for me, Sailor Moon is just that series where you can never get tired of rewatching over and over again, and you get hooked to it almost immediately by just watching the character grow, and even the story grow, in every interaction Usagi have with his friends, with their family and friends. So for me, second, definitely my top 2 in this list. Another thing, there's only 2 that pioneered magical girl anime, and that's, the other one is Cardcaptor Sakura. And with all the respect, Cardcaptor Sakura, I do like the premise, but for me, I'm more on Team Sailor Moon side. So without further ado, number 2 is Sailor Moon. Let's proceed into number 1. Number 1, speaking of shonen-esque aesthetics, this is the thing about this entire video. I actually just read off the plot synopsis off online, and this one I wrote by myself with a great passion, because this masterpiece of a series for me is one of my all-time favorite shoujo. Like, you know me, I love a good character-oriented show, and how that's the reason why I love shonen so much, because it's all of this series is character-oriented or character growth-oriented. I mean, and for me, Akatsuki no Yona reminds me of that premise. And let me read what I wrote there and what I've understood from Akatsuki no Yona. Akatsuki no Yona is about a sheltered princess that was betrayed and overthrown as a royal, and her eyes were awakened or opened to the truth of the situation of her kingdom, how they all suffer, and vows to change the kingdom and crush all her enemies with the help of her newly found allies and her loyal. And of course, there's also like a whole plot about her being a reincarnation of an ancient figure, and all of her newly found allies is also like dragon descendants of that ancient figure, or like the dragon descendant kind of retainers, the retainers of that ancient figure, ancient ruler, and her loyal knight, and in my opinion, the best boy of the series, Hawk. So for me, again, watching the relationship between Yona and Hawk grow, and any of the other dragon reincarnation retainer guy relationship with Yona grows, made me just fell in love with the series. And of course, it's not just about the prophecy as well. The fact that they learn to respect Yona as a character, as a woman, I just love it. And it reminds me overall of watching like Naruto or Bleach, because Naruto and Bleach are like character growth oriented. It just reminds me of a shonen-esque aesthetic. So for me, number 1, of course, is, since I love shonen, and that would reflect this much for a shoujo anime list, I just love the fact that it reminds me of a shonen. So Akatsuki no Yona would be definitely my number 1 and my all-time favorite. Just the world building, the freaking characters, the story, this is it. And the fact that she's, for me, my best girl in all of shoujo anime, hands down. I freaking love this series. Without further ado, that would be my top 5 shoujo anime list.